second half of this session. Okay, if you have not installed, then you have around like half an hour. Please go ahead and install the resources using the links provided. Okay, and if you face any issue, please let me know during the call. Okay, so let's start. So basically, what is data engineering? Okay, so anyone, if you want to speak like what is data engineering, do you want to explain it? Anyone? Raise your hand or just unmute yourself and explain me what is data engineering. So yeah, guys, I want you all to be interactive. If you want to say anything, you can go ahead. Okay, so let me start first. So data engineering is basically a domain in computer science where we play with data. Okay, in the most layman term, we play with data. We bring data from one place to another. Okay, we transform it and we feed the system with good quality of data so that it can be used for reporting, it can be used for machine learning. Okay, so this is what an data engineering engineer does. Okay, so data engineer is responsible for architecting and implementing the data solutions that meet the organization needs. Okay, so when we talk about big data, when we talk about pipelines, so there needs to be a professional data engineer, okay, who can develop those pipelines, okay, which can move our data effectively from one place to another. Okay, because when we talk about data, it's huge nowadays. Okay, when I'm recording this session, this is also generating a lot of data. Okay, when I am creating some presentation, that is creating a data. Okay, so all these data are being used by the respective company, okay, to enhance their business model, to enhance their business analytics, so that their overall business can boom. Okay, so that's why data engineers are here. Okay, so as I said, building and scaling the platform that enables data collection, processing, and storage for data science and analytics. Okay, so the end user is always for analytics purpose and for data science. Okay, with bad and with raw data, you can never do a good data science, machine learning, or a good analytics. Okay, so what does a modern ETL and analytics process looks like? Okay, so first of all, there are a lot of data sources available to us. Okay, a lot. Web APIs. Okay, file formats, IoT devices. So IoT devices are nowadays our biggest producer of data. Okay, the CCTV camera, which are being set up in traffic lights or at our home, they are producing data. Okay, the smartwatch that we are wearing, it contains the IoT chips that is generating data. Social media platforms, a huge amount of data being produced: Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. New social media platform Thread that we have just heard that has been launched. So all these are being run on data. Okay, they are producing data and they are doing their analytics on data. Okay, clickstream data. Whenever we click on some of the websites, okay, if you guys know or don't know, I'm not sure, but there are a lot of websites, okay, especially the large websites who are having who, sorry, who are having analytics based on clickstream. Okay, they are analyzing user response, how much time a user is staying on a page, how much time a user is clicking on this button, what gender or what age of user are visiting a single page. Okay, so these minute level of data are being collected. Okay, and based on that, you are being shown the ads, or basically the consumer are being pulled towards those products. Okay, machine logs, sensor data. So machine logs, the VHS here, he just told he's working in the automobile sector. Okay, in automobile we are having a lot of machines. Okay, and that produce a lot of data. The companies use those data to predict when that machine needs to be repaired. Okay, so that is basically a lot of a good information for that company. Okay, external data providers, enterprise data, CRP systems, SAP systems, these are a lot big data sources for us nowadays. Okay, so these are data sources, and then we have the ingest module. So in ingest, we basically get the data from one place to our own system. Okay, so they might be at IoT system, they might be at some different database, they might be at some different uh, any kind of data storage. Okay, but we need to get that data in our system to to analyze it. Okay, so after getting the data, we store it. Okay, we store it at some good place for processing it, and then we do the preparation. In preparation, we do like business analytics, business processing. We clean the data. We apply all the kinds of business transformation. Okay, and then we have model and serve, where we basically prepare that data for, I would say, data analytics or machine learning. Okay, so that is the end layer, model and serve. So in data warehouse, we store the quality data. Okay, so this process, the four process that we see: ingest, store, prep, and model. Okay, so this is the, I would say, the end-to-end process of our data engineering. Okay, so moving forward, so why data engineering is important? So as we discussed, the graph that you see over here, okay, the demand for data volume is increasing day by day. Okay, so this is zettabytes over here. Okay, zettabytes is the highest level of unit that we use today to measure the volume of data. Okay, if we talk about big data, it is either terabytes or petabytes, and zettabytes is more even that. Okay, so today in 2023, we are talking about somewhere 120 zettabytes. Okay, and by 2025, the data scientists have assumed it will grow till 180 zettabytes. Okay, to consume this data, to prepare these data, we need good data engineers. Okay, we need a good data infra. Okay, the person who can understand infra. Okay, it's not just about creating a good pipeline, it's about how that pipeline is going to be effective in future. Is it going to be scalable? Is it going to be cost effective? Okay, so yeah, all these things are required for being a good data engineer. Okay, so that's why the demand of data engineers are growing day by day. So for example, if my company is consuming 1 TB of data every day, and I've designed a pipeline for that, and after 2 years, obviously the data is going to increase. 1 TB is increased till 10 TB. Okay, is my infra capable of handling it? Is my pipeline capable of handling that level of data? Okay, what if my processing time increases from 1 hour till I would say 10-15 hours? Okay, we have worked on those systems where processing times is between 15 to 20 hours. Okay, so that's a task of data engineer to decrease that the time of those processing. Okay, hence increasing our analytics time and decreasing the I would say the cost as well. Okay, no company in world will basically have their cost, infra cost, more than 25% of their overall revenue. Okay, so we have worked with teams where we analyze the, or we decide a budget as well. Okay, no team or no company will ever be able to bear the cost of infra, which is more than 25% of their revenue. Okay, so that's why good data engineers are required. Okay, so the skills required nowadays, I would say the most basic thing that we must know is agile process and DevOps. Okay, so do you know? Do you guys know what is agile? Just raise your hand or just speak yes. Do you know what is agile? Okay, so we have a few hand raised. We have, yeah. So anyone, if you have any doubt, please tell me. Okay, do you know what is agile? What is DevOps? Anyone? If you have any questions, raise your hand, please. Yes, no, not sure. Am I audible? Yeah, so we have the thumbs up, and if you can't don't want to speak, you can just drop your answers over the chat as well. We have the chat over there as well. Okay, but I really want you guys to be interactive. Okay, and give your feedback or give your suggestion from time to time. Okay, so agile method is basically I would say a method how we complete or we design a workflow. Okay, so when a project starts, okay, there's a lot of planning, there's a lot of development, there's a lot of testing, and then production. Okay, so all these method are comes under agile. Okay, so agile is a methodology, okay, where we design the workflow of our project. Okay, so Git and Agile, these two things are the most basic thing that the data engineer should know. Okay, because when you are going to work in a system, when you are going to work with a lot of code, okay, you guys should know how to commit that code or how to work with Git. Okay, then distributed system. Nowadays we talk about Hadoop, we talk about Apache. Okay, all the Apache environment. Okay, so all those things are basically on distributed system. When we talk about big data, it can't be managed on a single system. It is evenly distributed to multiple nodes. Okay, so that's how a distributed system works. We'll not go in more depth in distributed system in this module. Okay, but just to give you a brief what distributed system are, so that's why. So SQL, SQL is one of the most important. I would not say one of the most. It is the most important thing a data engineer should know. Okay, if you're working in GCP, you're working in AWS, you're working in Azure, any cloud. Okay, you're a data analytics, you're a data engineer, data scientist. You should know SQL. Okay, that's why we are focusing a lot of our time in SQL and in this deep dive Azure. Okay. Programming, you can choose anyone: Python, Java, Scala, R. Okay, but Python and Scala being the most used nowadays. Okay, cloud platforms: Azure, AWS, GCP. There are others like like IBM or Alibaba. Okay, but the most that is used nowadays are Azure and AWS. Okay, Azure being more user friendly, it is more expensive. Okay, AWS is less user friendly, but it provides you more option. Okay, that's why more development, yeah, it is more cheap. Okay, AWS is more cheap. That's why more companies nowadays who are like development, who are product based company, they are on AWS. But the company who are focused on data, who are focused on data science, data engineering or machine learning, they are towards Azure. Okay, then you should have an analytics mindset and obviously data modeling. Okay, we'll more discuss more about data modeling and analytics mindset. Okay, that comes with experience. Okay, that basically comes with experience. uh, More time you give to a data, the more analytical processing power that you will have in your mind. Okay, so yeah, these are the basic skill sets required by data engineer: Python and SQL. Okay, any programming language: Python, Java, Scala, or R, but SQL is must. Okay, so yeah, as I said, this graph shows you SQL. It is the most average percentage of listings in all the job openings over there. Okay, if you find a opening for data engineering, you will find requirement of SQL over there. Okay, so that's why we are starting our module with SQL over here. So let me explain you what is ETL. So ETL is basically extract, transform, and load. So the first image that we saw earlier, where we have multiple data sources, we are ingesting the data in our system, we are processing it, and then we are storing it somewhere. Okay. So the extraction part is the ingestion part, where we get the data from the source. Okay. So that is the main thing, because whenever we are getting a data from some unknown source, okay, there we need to know the mapping. There we need to know the data source. How is it, what it is, okay, how frequently it is changing. Because the more frequent the change in the data source, the more frequent we need to be to change our pipelines, right? Okay. Then we have transformation part, where we clean the data, where we apply business logic. Okay. Then we have the loading part, where we basically load our data in a source or place where we can basically I would say consume it for better usage. Okay, so data classification, more simple: raw data, processed data, and cooked data. Raw data is a data that you get in the raw format. Okay, it can be JSON, it can be XML format. Okay, it is unprocessed and it is of no use as of now. Okay, then processed data is a data where we apply some kind of schema in the raw data. Okay, so what do you mean by schema? For example, we have this table, we have like 5 columns over here. Okay, so the name of this column, okay, so that defines the schema of a particular data. Okay, so when we have a JSON, okay, we don't have any schema of there. It's simply data over here and few of the key value pairs. Okay, so when we apply a schema in this table format, okay, that becomes our process data. Okay, and the cooked data is basically a processed data, and that has been summarized. Okay, so processed data can also be containing a large number of rows. Okay, a lot of rows. Okay, but me as a consumer, I want to see a filtered data. Okay, so for example, I want to see data of only 2023. Okay, so I will apply filters over this table or our process data, and I will get the final data, that is my cooked data. Okay, there can be n number of summarization. Okay, there can be n number of filtering. So that is basically our cooked data. Okay, so one of the most important questions that are being asked nowadays in I would say interview, okay, especially for freshers, what is batch processing and what is stream processing? Okay, so batch processing is a method where we fetch the data, we process it over a period of time. Okay, so for example, our pipeline runs once a day. So at a single time only, at a once a day, my pipeline will fetch data from our source. It will transform it, do all the processing, and it will dump the data to our database or whatever layer we have. Okay, so that is batch processing. It is fixed time. Okay, it is a period of time, either once a day, twice a day, I would say once a month. So that is batch processing. And then we have stream processing. What is stream processing? Stream processing is real time. Okay, so real time data over here we have, I would say, as soon as the data enters the system, okay, it is fetched, it is processed, and it is sent to the, I would say, the dashboard or our source data set. Okay, so that is what stream processing is. So batch is where we consume data once, okay, and we process it and we dump it to the source. And stream processing is where we consume data live, okay. As soon as we have the data, we process it and we dump it. So in batch processing, we have a lot of data, but only single processing. And stream processing, we have less amount of data, but continuous processing. Okay. So that's the difference between batch and stream. You guys, especially freshers, should know, because it is being asked in most of the interview questions. Okay. Uh, then we have OLTP versus OLAP. Okay. So OLTP is online transactional processing and OLAP is analytics processing. Okay. So what does these two terms mean? Okay. So OLTP is a system where we maintain a transaction data. Okay. So complete data is in our database. Whenever some transaction or whenever some logic happens, directly happens over the main data in our database. Okay. Now this system is a bit slow. Okay. Why it is slow? Because the data is being directly changed or being fetched directly from database. Okay. And this is basically used by banks or a place where we want to change the data more frequently. Okay. But OLAP system, as the term says, it is an analytical processing. Okay, when we have a huge amount of data, which is changing less frequently. Okay, I would say once a day. So what we do is we copy whole data to a analytical system, which is in memory. Okay, so as you guys know, RAM is more efficient. Okay, so we copy the complete data to our in memory. Okay, and then we do all the query over there. Okay, so when the complete data is being fetched to in memory, okay, so that is way faster than OLTP system. Obviously OLAP system are expensive, but when your consumer needs to see the data in quick, so that's when we use OLAP system. Okay, so that's the difference between OLTP and OLAP. Okay, so we have given a lot of time in understanding what is an what basically is data engineering. Okay, what is OLTP system, what is OLAP system, so what is stream processing, what is batch processing. So this gives you a, I would say, a quick overview of what this data engineering environment is. Okay. Next up, we'll move to our main module, that is SQL module. Okay. Before that, guys, do you have any doubt, anything? Sorry, do you have any questions? Anything? Please raise your hand. Drop your questions on over the chat. Okay, we'll acknowledge that, or just unmute yourself and speak. Okay. If I'm going a bit fast, if I'm going a bit slow, please drop your suggestion over chat. If you have any question, please drop over the chat. Okay. Anyone, any question? Yes, no. If you don't have any question, please drop no in the chat. Okay. If you have anything, please raise your hand or drop your questions over the chat. Please. Hello. Yeah. So the permissions for speak was revoked. If you want to speak, wait, let me unmute you. Yeah. Till we unmuting Shiva Balaji, you have a question for explain Agile. Okay. So in Agile, as I told, it's a methodology. Okay, how a project is completed. Okay, so if you have worked with any organization, you would have heard a term of Scrum Master. Okay, so what does that person does is he basically thinks how the project is going to be started. Okay, how things are going to be analyzed. What's the requirement? Okay, how the work is going to be distributed. Okay, what's the priority of each task. Okay, who is going to do which task. Okay, at how much interval we are going to do testing, we are going to deploy things. Okay, so all these things are basically designed in a sprint. So sprint is basically a time frame. In some organization it is of 1 week, in some organization it is of 2 week. Okay, so in a sprint we decide what work we need to pick. Okay, so after a sprint completes, we analyze how the sprint went, what all things completed, what all things need to be started. Okay, so that's how the things are done in sprint. Uh, that's how the tasks are taken on priority. That's how the tasks are completed one by one. Okay, so it's a thing like we use a bottom to up approach where we think how what's the main requirement. Then we have the designing. Then we have tasks that are completed every week. Then we have testing, and then we have the deployments and production. Okay, so that's a method of completing a project. Okay, is it clear now? Okay, so you guys are unmute. If you have anything, please ask. Nitish, you had any question? You just pinged over the chat. You have any question?
No.
Great. So let's move to our SQL part. Okay. Okay. So in SQL, we will basically go with complete basic. Okay. Uh, this will be a live demo class. I will be executing the queries in front of you. I will be doing everything in front of you. Okay. So at any point of time you think you're not understanding any part. Okay. I would say the person who are experienced, okay, they will find this completely basic. Okay. But do understand we have freshers as well. And it is a good part to start from basics, right? So that everything is clear to each and everyone who is present over here. Okay. So we'll start with what is SQL, asset properties, data types in SQL. Okay, we will be understanding different categories of SQL statement. Okay, then we will be understanding what is filtering and sorting of data, what is null values, and finally we will end today's session with joins and subqueries. Okay, so what is SQL? uh, Structured query language, the full form of it. But if I explain you in at an I would say more basic level or more layman term, so it's a way of querying or getting output from a database. Okay, so SQL is the programming language using which we get the data from our relational database. Okay, so what is relational database? Relational database are database like if you heard of MySQL, or you've heard of RDS, okay, or Microsoft SQL, okay. So all these are relational database where data are stored in table formats, okay. We also have NoSQL databases, okay, where like GraphSQL or NoSQL, where we have data in, I would say, JSON format, or a format where we don't have any schema, okay. So we have our relational databases, and then we have RDBMS or NoSQL or GraphSQL. Okay, so these are different types of databases that we have. Okay, so it's a standard language used in relational database. Okay, such as MySQL, Oracle, Microsoft SQL, PostgreSQL. Okay, so there are multiple organizations who use different kind of SQL providers. Okay, some of them uses MySQL, some of them uses Microsoft SQL. Microsoft SQL are nowadays known as T-SQL, which is known as transactional SQL. Okay, so we will be focusing a complete SQL module on transactional SQL. Okay. So what is transactional SQL? So it is used by Microsoft SQL and Microsoft database products. Okay. So if you are going to focus on Azure, okay. So in Azure, obviously you are going to work with Microsoft related stuff. Okay. So that's why T-SQL is in great demand nowadays. All the SQL query languages are almost same, whether it is T-SQL, it is Microsoft SQL, MySQL or Oracle, it is almost same. Some of the, I would say, syntax is different, some of the keywords are different. Okay, so if you learn one of the SQL format in good manner, okay, you will be able to query any database. I bet you will be able to query Oracle, you will be able to query MySQL. Okay, it's just about how you search the things, okay, on Google. You just need to know what you need to search, or what results are you're going to produce. Okay, so yeah. So T-SQL can be used to create and manage database objects such as table, views, and store procedure. We'll be covering each and every part. What are tables, what are views, what are stored procedures known as SPs. We'll be covering what are functions. Okay, we are going to cover each and every entity of T-SQL. Okay. So few of the terms, I would say start with the basics. SQL Server or SQL database. So SQL Server is an application where a database is hosted. Okay. So for example, you are seeing this webinar on your system as of now. Okay. So your system is a server. Sorry. Just give me a second. Yeah. So you have SQL.
Am I the only one who cannot hear?
For all, I guess. I'm not saying anything.
Hello, am I audible again?
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry for that. Okay, so I was explaining what is SQL Server. So SQL Server is I would say, a machine where your database are hosted. Okay, so currently, if you are seeing this webinar on your system, so and a database is installed on your system, so your system is a server, and the SQL engine that is running on your machine is a SQL database. Okay, so I've shared a link for you to install the server. Okay, SQL Server. Okay, so if you guys have downloaded it, we will install it. So I've already installed it. I've mentioned the steps in the presentation ahead. So it's a simple step. You just need to download the exe file, and you need to just click on next and install it. Okay, so that's how you install SQL Server on your Windows machine. Okay, so let's start with what is asset properties. One of the most basic questions asked to freshers as well as, I would say, experienced person as well. So asset property stands for atomicity, consistency.
Isolation, and durability.
Yeah, correct. So talking about atomicity, what is it? The entire transaction takes place at all once, or it doesn't happen at all. Okay. Giving you the most basic example. For example, you are going in an ATM. Okay. You have put your card over there. You entered the PIN. You entered the amount. Okay. And the transaction happened. Okay. So there is a debit happening in your account. Okay. So what happens when you debit the when the amount is being debited from the system, but the machine is not giving you the money? Okay. So in that case, one system occurred where one query occurred where your account has been uh, deducted with the amount. Okay, but the one system failed where the amount has not been uh, passed on from the ATM machine. Okay, so over here the atomicity helps, where either the complete transaction will take place or either none will happen. Okay, so that's how the system works. If the machine doesn't gives you the money, suddenly at a fast pace, the amount that is being debited from your account, okay, that is created again. So that's how a complete transaction works, and that's how the consistency is being maintained. Okay, so that's what consistency is. A database must be consistent before and after transaction. Okay, so what does this mean? On a particular database, there can be a lot of transaction happening at a single time. Okay, for example, you're using your phone pay, okay, or your Google Pay at the same time. Okay, from one phone, you are, I would say, doing a transaction. Okay, and from another phone also you are doing a transaction from the same UPI account. Okay, I know that is not possible. Okay, it should be on same number. Okay, that's how consistency works. That's how UPI systems are designed. But just giving example, from two different phone, you are using two different UPI vendor to debit money from the same account. Okay, what will happen in that case? So if the systems are not logged, okay, the same amount will be deducted from your first system and the same amount will be deducted from your second system. Okay, but to maintain a consistency, the accounts are being logged whenever a transaction is being happen. Okay, so one transaction will happen, then only the log will be released, and then the second transaction is going to happen. Okay, that's how the consistency are being maintained. Is my screen not visible to you?
It's not visible.
Okay, you should let me know that my screen is not visible. Is my screen visible now?
Yes.
Yes, that's why I told you guys to be like talk. If you have any issues, please speak. So I was explaining you, but you were not able to see the screen. That's why. Okay. So atomicity, consistency, and then isolation. So what does isolation means? Multiple transactions occur independently without interference. Okay. So in this, if a particular OLTP system is there, okay, and in a particular database, you are having multiple accounts. Okay, my account is also there. Another person accounts are also there. Okay, so both these accounts are being treated independently. Okay, it's not like that. Like my account is being logged. Okay, because some transaction, it doesn't mean the other account needs to be also logged. Okay, so that's how isolation. That's the meaning of isolation. Okay, and durability. The change of a successful transaction occurs even if the system fails. Okay, so for example, I would say you did a transaction at an ATM. The complete transaction completed. It was debited from your account. Okay, and you got the money from the ATM. But somehow the ATM servers failed. Okay, that doesn't mean the transaction didn't complete. Okay, so the systems are designed in a way where we maintain a durability. Okay, the checks are there whether if both transaction completed, like if the amount was also deducted and if the amount was also released from the ATM, which means the transaction was complete. Okay. Hence, the durability is maintained over here. It doesn't mean if the one system fails, okay, then also the complete transaction are being considered as a complete transaction. Okay, so there are a lot of OLTP systems who are built on asset properties. Okay, without asset properties, your system are not going to be efficient. Okay, so moving forward to data types. Okay, so in data types, there are a lot of data types in SQL. Okay, if you talk about numbers, we have big int, we have numeric, we have bit, small int, tiny int. Okay, if you want to store numbers in decimal, we have float. Okay, we have multiple formats for date and time. We have multiple formats for characters or string. Okay, and if you have any image file or any binary data, we have data type for that as well. Now, why this is important? Why knowing all the data type in SQL is important? When we are working with small tables, it doesn't mean a lot. Okay, but when we work with a big table, okay, whenever we define a data type for a particular column in a table, okay, it doesn't matter we have the data in a table or not, the SQL will have some amount of memory already assigned to that for that particular column based on the data type we have used. Okay, now just imagine we have n number of tables, big tables in our database. Okay, and there's a column which requires a small int. Okay, but we have given the data type as big int. Okay, without any use, without any purpose, we are consuming or we are blocking that amount of memory, okay, for that column, which could have been solved our work with small int, but still we have used big int. That's why knowing your data before creating the architecture is more important. Okay, knowing the small things, why we need to use big int, why you need to use small int. Okay, at some place where we don't know the exact length of characters, we go for n varchar, we go for varchar. Okay, so over there, when we don't know the length, okay, then we can use the I would say the data type which are going to consume a lot of memory. But when we know the exact numbers, if we are talking about age can't be more than, I would say, 100, 200, right? If it is there, then it is a bad number. Okay, so over there we can use numeric or simple int. Okay, if you're talking about binary things like 1 or 0, okay, we can simply use the bit, okay, which is going to use only 1 bit of memory for that particular column. That's why a good selection of data type are important. Okay, we are going to check the data, how data are being stored in all these data types ahead. Okay, so moving forward, categories of T-SQL statement. So we have DML, DDL, and DCL. All the freshers, all the experienced person, okay, keep these 3 terms in your mind. Okay, they are being asked directly or indirectly in your SQL interview. Okay, what are select, statement, insert, update, delete, create, alter. We are going to discuss all these statements. Okay, but DML stands for data manipulation language. How we are going to manipulate our data. Okay, if a data is already present, how we are going to use it, how we are going to update it. That's what manipulation works. Okay, so the term specifies manipulation means changing the existing data. Okay, then DDL stands for definition language, where we define how our data is going to look. Okay, we are defining the initial schema, we are defining the new schema. If we want to drop something, we are defining that. Okay, and then we have DCL, which stands for data control language, where SQL administrators basically give access to multiple users. Okay, so we'll be covering all these topics. Okay, and after each module, the best part is I will be sharing you with a lot of resources, a lot of assignment, okay, which you guys can use in this 1 week of period. Okay, we'll be in touch regularly. Okay, if you have any doubt, we have that WhatsApp group. Make a good use of that. Okay, if a person, we are here to give you a lot of time. We are here to give our time to you. Okay, you just need to give your 1 hour, 2 hour in a day to practice SQL, to practice the assignments that we give you, or go through the documentations that we provide you. Okay. So obviously, I know there are ChatGPT nowadays, there are a lot of resources nowadays, but if you're getting something already cooked, okay, if I'm giving you exactly what to read, okay, that too for free, that is the best part for you guys, right? Yeah. So moving forward, so DDL statements, okay. So it is 10:56, almost 11. We are half time. Okay. I will take a 10 minutes break over here. You guys also, I would say 5 to 10 minutes break. You guys can also freshen up. Okay. I will start a timer over here for 10 minutes, and we will again be back and start with our second part of this module. Okay. So I will start the timer over here. Okay, so let's be back within 10 minutes. Okay, thank you guys for staying for first half. Just stay with me for another 1 hour. Okay, we'll be discussing more about SQL. Okay, thank you so much. Hello all, welcome again. Let's wait for a minute for any one of those who want to join again. Okay, then we'll start. Am I audible now? Just ping yes if you guys are available over here. Just send a yes. Okay, yeah. So let's start again. Okay, so we are going to start with what is a DDL statement. Okay, so DDL statement are used to basically create tables, views, store procedures, roles, and index. Okay, so the syntax for creating it is we need to give a syntax as create table, table name, and the column with the data type. Okay, so it can be create views, create store procedures, create roles. Okay, so this is the syntax of how we create and we run a create statement. Okay, let me move to the Azure Data Studio. Okay, so I have shared the link with you to install the Azure Data Studio. Okay, and also install the SQL Server. Once both of them are installed, if you face any issue while installing or get any error, please ping over here on WhatsApp, or please raise your hand or tell me if you face any issue. Okay. So I hope when you guys install these two, Azure Data Studio and the SQL Server, so this is how a Azure Data Studio looks like. Okay. On the left part, we have the connections tab, the search, notebooks, and rest sort of features. Okay. But what we are going to focus are on basically the connections and the queries over here. Okay. To create a new connection, just go to the connection tab and click on new connection. Okay. So in new connection, whenever we install a SQL server on our local system, the server name will always be localhost. Okay. If not localhost, whenever you install a SQL server, you will get a dialog box which mentions the connection string. And in the connection string, you will be able to see the localhost. Okay. Authentication type will be Windows authentication. So it will be authenticated using your Windows user ID and password. Okay. So just write localhost, authentication type as Windows authentication, and click on connect. Okay. It might give an error, so you just need to click on enable trust server certificate and it will be connected. So you are inside your local SQL server which is running on your system itself. Okay. So in a SQL server, this local host or SQL server, we have databases. Okay. So as of now, you will see I already have this database created over here. I will just go and drop it so that I can create from scratch. Drop database. Okay, till it gets dropped, I will explain you what database are. So whenever you will connect, you will not be able to see any database over here because none are present in your new SQL server as of now. In system database, you will be able to see master, model, MSDB, and all those things. Okay. So it gives me an error that it cannot drop database because it is currently in use. So I'm already connected to it. So that's why it is not able to drop it. So if you guys just want to create a new database, the simple query will be of using this create database and the database name. Okay, you can give any name to it. I have given the skill DB. Okay, so it will create a database for you. So once the database is created, you will be able to see all the entities in that particular database. We are having tables, we are having views, we are having rest of the, like, I would say, store procedures. Okay, so as we are going to create each entity, I will be going to discuss each and everything. Okay. Yeah. So let's create a table first. So as I told you, the query for creating is simple. Create table demo table 1. You can give the table name over here, and then in brackets we need to specify the column name and respective ID for it, data type for it. Then the column name, the respective data type, the column name and the data type. So over here I'm having 3 different columns: ID, names, and joining date. Okay, so in ID I can use int, I can use big int, I can use small int, but as of now I know my data will be enough for a int data type. Okay, so I'm going to use int over here. Then name is stored in varchar, so we don't have something like string or character. So these kind of data types are not here in T-SQL. We have varchar or nvarchar. Okay, so in varchar we specify the number of characters that my column are going to store. Okay, so maximum this column will store as 200 characters. If I'm not sure about the number of characters, I can even use max over here. Okay, so nvarchar max. Okay, and then we can use the joining date, date time over here, or time, or simply date over here. Okay, so if I hope you guys are able to connect. If you are able to connect, please execute these queries. Okay, with me. I will be pasting it directly in the chat window. Okay, so that if you guys face any issue at any point of time, you can directly ask me. That's why the session is live, so that if you guys face any issue during the session, okay, you can simply run the query. Okay, execute it. If you face any issue, you can directly contact us. Okay, so we have this create table. So in my database, the table is created, create table demo table 1. Okay, so this is how a table is created. Okay, so this is the first DML statement where we are creating the table. Okay, I'm sorry, not the DML, it's a DDL, data definition. Okay, you have any question? Okay, so let's move forward. The next part is we have done the create part. Now comes the alter part. Okay, there can be a scenario where our table has already been defined. Okay, but we want to alter it. Alter means changing the complete the current schema. Okay, so in that case we'll be using the alter statement. Okay, so in alter we can use multiple different types of alter. We can alter the complete table columns. We can alter the we can add a column, we can remove a column, we can change the data type of a column. Okay, so first of all, the first statement that you see over here is we are going to add a new column over here. Okay, before that I will show you how my table looks now. Okay, so it is having 3 columns as ID, name, and joining date. Yeah, sorry for that. So we are having 3 columns: ID, name, and joining date. screen visible to you? Is my screen visible to you? Just give me a second. Okay, yeah, I hope it is visible now. So as you see, a new column is being added over here. Okay, so as I was saying, it is not always recommended to alter a table once I think there's some issue with my screen sharing. Let me reconnect once. Just give me a second. Actually, yeah, I'll keep my video off maybe because of that. There's some issue with the network. Okay, so I ran this query, alter table name, and I want to change the data type. So syntax is alter column, and the column name and the new data type for it. Okay, so when I execute it, the command is executed over here, and the data type is changed. Okay, you can verify it from here. On the left pane, you have a database and you have a table section over here. So if you'll expand a table, you will be able to see the exact table. Okay, when you will again expand a table, you will be able to see the columns, keys, constraint, and these options. When you check the columns, we'll be able to see the columns that are present in the table. It's ID, name, joining date, leaving date, and you can see the data type is varchar 300. Okay. Now, if I want to drop some column, okay, simple syntax will be alter table name, drop column, and the column name. Okay. So when I execute it, the column gets dropped, and you can see now ID column is not present over here. Okay.
Abhishek, sorry to interrupt. Not able to see the chat option.
You're not able to see the chat option. Q&A option is there.
Yeah, Q&A is there.
Yeah, please send your questions over there. Okay, we can read the options over there. Okay.
Sure. I mean, whatever you are pasting.
Okay.
Can you paste
I
them in Q&A?
will paste in the Q&A only. Okay.
Thanks. Yeah.
Yep. So that's how we alter our data. Okay. Now, next comes is dropping things. Okay. So drop means to drop that particular entity completely. Okay, we are not going to have a single instance of that in our table. Okay, so for example, if I create a table over here, let me show you a drop thing. Drop table name, if you'll simply run it, it will completely drop that particular entity. Okay, if you'll refresh the site pane, you will not be able to see the table over here. Okay, so not sure why it is. Okay, sorry, I'm executing it in the master database. I forgot to tell you, you can change the scope of the query over here. Okay, so the database is master over here. Okay, you need to go and select the required database where you want to exactly run this query. Okay, so if I select the skilled DB database now, and now I run the top table. Okay, and now the table is no more over here. Okay, so in Azure Data Studio, you get the option to select the database. Okay, so this is the query console, and the scope where the query will run is the database that you have selected over here. Okay, so after drop, we are having the insert, the data manipulation, the first DML query, that is insert. Okay, so in insert, we are going to insert the new records in our data. Okay, so as the definition says, the insert statement in SQL is used to add new rows into a table. Okay, suppose we have a table name employees with this column. Okay, ID, first name, last name. So to insert new values, this is the syntax. Okay, so insert into table name, the columns and the values. Okay, so let me insert few values in the table. Okay, so first of all, let's create this employee table. Okay, so we are having more number of columns over here. Now, first name, last name, email, hire date, salary. Okay, with different data types. So create the employee table, and to insert new values, this is a syntax as discussed. Insert into table name, the columns, okay, and the respective values. Okay, when you run this query, it says one row is affected, one row is inserted. Okay, if I want to again insert new row, okay, I can again run a new insert query. Okay, now this values, you don't need to, or simply you don't need to specify the columns over here as always. Okay, so you will see there's some difference between the first insert statement and the second insert statement. Okay, in the first insert statement, I have specified the column names as well, but in the second insert statement, I have only mentioned insert into employees and then simply the values. Okay, when you can use this, when you are specifying the exact number of values which is similar as the exact number of columns present in the table. Okay, but when you don't want to insert values in all the columns, okay, you simply specify the column names and then the respective values. Okay, so over here I want to insert values in all the columns, so I've specified the required number of required number of columns over here. Okay, so if I run this, it will insert one row again. Okay, there's some question. What is the question? MySQL Workbench. You can use MySQL Workbench when you are having MySQL database. Okay, so currently we're working in T-SQL. It's the Microsoft SQL. Okay, I don't think so you will be able to connect Microsoft SQL into a MySQL Workbench. Okay, so MySQL, as the name suggests, it is specifically only for MySQL client. Okay, any other question? So I hope I'm clear. So that's an insert statement. Now let me show you how the data looks now. So select star from employees. So you see two rows are inserted over here. Now I have shown you one example where we are first specifying the columns, then inserting the values, and then we are specifying only the values. Okay, now there can be a scenario where I only want to insert value in the table. I don't want to insert the salary column. Okay, so I remove the salary column over here. I specified all the other values. I change the ID and I remove the salary over here. Okay, now when I insert the value, it inserts it, but what will happen? My salary column will be empty over here. Okay, the salary column is empty for this particular entry. Okay, so whenever you want to ignore some column, or you want to specify which column you want to give an exact value, so it is always a better approach to first of all specify the column name and then the respective values. Okay, let me share the insert value with you all. Okay, moving forward, we did insert, then we will see what is a select query. Okay, So select query is basically used for retrieving the data from a table. Okay, select query is in itself is a big vast topic. Okay, because in select query you need to specify multiple clauses, okay, in a correct sequence. So in a select query we have from, where, group by, having, order by. Okay, so we are going to discuss all of this part. Okay, so select, where we want to define which columns to return. Okay, so select the column names from the table. From defines from which table I want to fetch a table. Where is a condition or a filter. Group by is an aggregation. Having is also filtering the data based on the aggregation, and order by is basically sorting the things. Okay, so we are going to discuss each and every part. Okay, so first of all, we are going to discuss what is a where clause. So where clause is used to filter data based on the certain conditions. Okay, so to check what is a where clause, I will first of all insert few values, and then I will show you how a where clause works. Okay, so select statement, as I showed you, select ID, first name, last name, email from employees. Okay, now there might be a system where you're working with millions of rows. Okay, you saw me earlier doing this select star from employees. Okay, this is never recommended. Select star basically returns all the columns and all the rows from a table. And if you're working with millions of rows, then this will take a lot of time or may consume the complete memory of your system. Okay, so always specify the required column names. Okay, for example, I only want the ID and first name, so I will write select ID first name from employees. Okay, and then run it, and it will give me only those two columns. Now I only want only two rows. Okay, so there's a clause like select star select ID comma first name from employees, and I will write as select top two. Okay, what it will do is it will only return me first two rows. Okay, so if you're working on a system, you only want to see how the data looks. Okay, you can simply do select top one or select top two from this table. Okay, and you can get the required output. Okay, so using this, you don't need to get retrieve all the data. Okay, so now comes the where clause. Let me insert some values in it. Maybe these queries are not being sent properly in Q&A. Okay, chat are not visible to you. Yeah. Okay, so let me share only less amount of entries with you guys. Okay, so this is you are used to insert values directly. Okay, so once values are inserted, you can simply use a where clause to filter out your data. Okay, so how it goes is select column name from the table. Okay, and where column name and the condition. Okay, so I want to fetch all the data where hire date is greater than 1st of December 2021. Okay, so I run this query and it gives me all the data over here where hire date is greater than 2021 December 1st. So all the hire date is already filtered over here. Okay, now next we can move to another clauses. Okay, so this is how where works. Okay, so in where you can use another columns as well, like I can use like where first name is John. Okay, so when you use this, the data gets filtered for equal to John, so the data gets filtered where first name is John. Okay, this is how our where clause work. Next is the order by. So order by is used for basically sorting our data in the required format that we want. Okay, now I want to get all the data sorted on the salary. Okay, so I will run this, select the column names from employee, order by salary column. Okay, and DESC stands for descending order. So over here, the data is already sorted in the descending format from 70,000, 65, 62, and goes till 45. Okay. If you don't specify any format over here, okay, it will by default sort in ascending order. Okay. So we'll see 45,000, 50, 50 goes till 70,000. So this is how an order by clause works. Okay. Next is and, or, and not clause. Okay. So when you use a where clause, in where clause you can specify multiple conditions. Okay. In multiple conditions, we specify and clause, or clause, or not clause. Okay. So let me show you how all those three things works. Okay. So first of all, the and clause. So we're using a where higher rate is greater than this, but I also want all those values where higher rate is greater than the date and salary is less than 60,000. Okay. So I give an and clause over here. So when we run this, it will give me all the higher dates which are greater than 1st December, but the salary is less than 60,000, less than or equal to 60,000. So this is how an and clause works. Okay. You can also give an or clause where first name is equal to John or first name is equal to Sarah. Okay. So it will give me all the values where either of the condition is true. Okay. And then we have multiple and or clause. Okay. So over here you see we are having first and clause and then the or clause. Okay. So where higher rate is greater than 1st December and salary is less than 60,000. Okay. So this is the first clause. Okay. Where I want all those value where higher rate is greater than this and salary is less than 60,000, or I want first name equal to Shivam. Okay. So when either of these condition will be true, I will get the output. Okay. So you are seeing Shivam is over here. Okay. His higher rate is greater than his higher rate is 2023-0102. Salary is null, but this value might be coming due to this or clause. Okay. So all the values that we got over there is because of these two conditions, either the where clause and either of the and clause or either of the or clause. Okay. So you can apply multiple conditions over here. You can apply and, or, combinations of and, combinations of or. Okay. So the more you practice, you will get to know how these things work. Okay. Any questions here? Okay. So then we have and, or, and not clause. Okay. So in not, we are having multiple clauses like in and not in. Okay. So when we want to filter on multiple levels, okay, so I want to get the first name where it is John, David, or XYZ. So I can specify a list over here. Okay. Select ID, first name, and all the columns from employees where first name is in these three columns. Okay. So John, David, and XYZ. Okay. So when we specify in, so it will find all the values which are present in this list. Okay. And when we apply not in, so it does the opposite. Okay. So it can be used in a good manner whenever we want to get the data for multiple level or multiple values. Okay. So this is what in, not in, and, or clause stands for. Okay. Then we have the DML statements, update, delete, and yeah, so update and delete. So we will be going through the update and delete clause. Okay. So in update, as the name specifies, we are going to update the existing values. Okay. So existing values, for example, you have entered few values of an employee and that is wrong. Okay. And you want to update it. So let's see how it works. I'm selecting the salary of an employee where ID is 3. Okay. But I want to update it to 60,000. So I will write it as is update employees set salary equal to 60,000 where ID is 3. So this is a format. So update table name, set column with the new value where ID equal to 3. Okay. So when I will run this, it will give me, it will update the value. Now if I check the value, it is 60,000. Okay. What happens if you will run update query without a where clause? Okay. Update employee set salary equal to 60,000. This is the most dangerous query that a person can run on a SQL table. Okay. This will update all the rows. Okay. Irrespective of the value for which I want to change exactly. Okay. So if I run this, it will simply update the complete salary column of my table. Okay. So if I do a select star from employees now, you will see the salary is 60,000 for all. So always run a update with a where clause because you want to update any particular values only, right? Now, if I want to delete that, so simply delete from table name where ID equal to 3. Okay, if I run this, so ID 3 will be deleted. Okay, now if I select where ID equal to 3, it will return none. Okay, so this is the use of update and delete. Now comes the null. So if you have experience with programming, so you might be see what is null, what is none, what is empty values. Okay, so null in SQL simply means there's no data in that column. Okay, it is completely blank. Okay, so let me show you by how we can query null values. Okay, in the table I'm inserting few values. Okay, where I'm having 3 rows. In one of those, the salary is null. Okay. And in one of those, the email is blank. Okay. So the blank value and the null value are two completely different things in SQL. Okay. So if I show you the data now, so in employees, you see there's one value where we having blank. It's simply a blank string. Okay. And in some places we are having as null. Okay, so SQL considers these two values as different. Okay, so if you want to see where it is blank, you can simply write a select star for employees where email equal to start quotes and end quotes, which denotes it as a blank value. Okay, and if you want to run as null, so select star for employees where employee is null. Okay, so none of the entry where email is null. Okay, that's why we are getting no value over here. But if I run the same, like higher date is null. Okay, so you will see all the entries where higher rate is having null values. So is null, is not null are keywords in SQL. Okay, so you can simply filter it based on that, where higher rate is not null or higher rate is null. Okay, you can use these two values to get the null things. Okay, or you can also run this like select delete from employees where higher date is null. Okay, so what it will do is it will simply delete all the values from the employee table where higher date is null. Okay, so you can see 3 rows were affected. So you can use this to filter out the data, to change the data, or check or see what all data is missing. Okay. So yeah, I've discussed null with you. Now coming to joins. Join is the last part of today's module. Any questions till now? Yes, no, anything? Please respond, guys. Yes, no, thumbs up. Okay, so where versus having. Having clause will be explaining more in the next SQL module, where we will be explaining group by. Then having will be more clear to you. Okay, that's why I have not yet explained having to you. Having is left, group by is left. That will be explained once we explain joins to you. So all these part will be in our next module in which is next Saturday. Okay. Okay, so just giving you an overview, where clause is used to filter data that is present in our table at present. Okay, and having is basically when we filter data based on the aggregation. Okay, so you want to, for example, filter all the data. I would say, yeah, filter all the data where sum of the table is greater than, I would say, 100. Okay, so sum is not present in the table as of now. So group by, using group by, you can find some of those rows. Okay, then you can filter out using having clause. Okay, so in a layman term, having is real-time filtering, and where clause is used when the data is already present in our table. Okay, so that's what where and having clause stands for. We'll explain more with the example in the coming module. Okay, let's start with joins. So joins in SQL are used to combine rows from two or more tables. Okay, whenever we are having multiple tables. Okay, so first of all, let me explain why joins are required. You can see our data over here. Okay, in this table we are having all the data in a single place. So we are having customer IDs, and we are also having the respective order ID. Okay, now you can see the first row and the last row over here. What is happening is there's a duplication as in the customer details are same, only the order ID is different, which is the customer number 1 have done 2 orders, which is 101 and 106. Okay, in this case what happens is the order ID is only changing, but the complete row over here, okay, the complete data over here is similar. Okay, so why we need to waste our space, okay, or waste our table space or memory to store the same kind of information. Okay, now just imagine we are having millions of record and same kind of duplication are happening. Okay, so this will create a lot of memory usage, right? So that's where normalization helps us. Okay, how normalization helps us is we create two different tables. Okay, now the first table will contain only the customer data, and the second table will contain only the order data. Okay, now you see the order customer ID 1 is there. Okay, and order ID is there. Okay, but what happened is in the customer table now this entry is only present once, so we are saving the space of new entry in customer table. Okay, where same columns will be present. Okay, so what we did over here is we had split our data in two different tables. Okay, so that the more consuming columns, okay, that are present only at a single place. Okay, at a single level. Okay, so customer table will have only one row, and order table will have data as order ID and customer ID, and this customer ID will be linked to the customer table of customer ID of customer table. Okay, now using joins we can get the similar thing. Okay, the similar thing as in this kind of data that we see in the first slide. Okay, where we are having first row customer ID 1, customer ID 2. Okay, using joins we can get the same amount of data. Okay, but we have saved a lot of memory in our own database by splitting the data in two parts. So that's what normalization is. So normalization, I will share you the more reading material. There are a lot normalization 1, normalization 2, normalization 3. Okay, different level of normalization, so you can read over there. Okay, so coming back to our joins, different types of joins are inner join, left join, right join, full outer join, and cross join. Okay, so starting with inner join. Any questions till now in normalization? Anyone? Okay, so if you have any questions, do drop. Okay, do drop your questions in the Q&A section. Okay, so moving to what is inner join. So inner join is basically when we join two different columns. Okay, when we join two different columns of two different table. Okay, and whenever the column values matches, we get the output. Okay, so let me show the same with an example. So I will create this different tables named as customer and order details, and I will insert few values in that. I will be sharing the complete script with you guys, okay? And from next time, I will be attaching the complete script directly in the attachment only, so you can directly download it. So I forgot this for the first module. From next module, I'll directly attach the complete script so that you can download it and then execute it, okay? So the first query over here is create table customers. So I've created this customer table. I will insert few values in it. Then I will create the order details table. I will insert values in order details table, and then the order items table. Okay, so I've created 3 different tables. Okay, now let me query it. Okay, and show you how the data looks like as of now. So the first table is customer table. The output of the first table is customer table. We are having customer ID from 1 to 6, the customer name, address, and their complete details. Okay, and then we have the order details. Okay, where order details are basically the item ID, which item was sold. Okay, the order ID, the ID of that order, and the name of that product, and the quantity and the total price. Okay, so these are the basically, I would say, the order items. So means the order table where we are having the order, the details of the products. Okay, and then we have the order details table. Order details are basically which customer ordered which order ID and what was the total amount. Okay, so this is how the table looks like. Customer table where we are having the customer details, the order details where which customer ID is linked to which order ID, okay, and what's the total amount of that order. And the order items is a place where each order ID is linked to which item was sold, okay, and the other item details. Okay, so we have 3 different levels of data over here. Now I want to join tables. Okay, join the tables to see which customer has ordered which data. Okay, so as of now we have data present in 3 different tables, but I want to show, or I want to view that data in a single place. Okay, so I will use a join, okay, to join those different tables to see how my data looks like. Okay, so we will be fetching all the details from the customer table, and then we will be fetching all the details from the order details table. And the common columns are customer ID. Okay, so if you see these 2 tables, customer and order details, so you will find the columns as customer ID and customer ID over here. Okay, so we can use these 2 columns to join them. Okay, so the syntax is select star from the customer table, inner join. So we are working on inner join as of now. Inner join order details table on column 1 of customer table and column 2, the customer ID column of order details table. So when I execute it, we'll see what will happen is it will give me columns from both the tables. Okay, so we had customer ID, customer name till customer email from the customer table, and rest of the details from the order details table. Okay, so now these were joined directly on the customer ID. Okay, so wherever customer ID 1 was there for customer table, okay, the same entry we had in customer ID, the same customer ID we had for order details table. Okay, so that's how the columns are joined over here. Now we can have a good view of this order ID 101 was linked to which customer name and which customer address. Okay, now just imagine what would have happened if the customer ID 1 would have made 2 different orders. Okay, so you're seeing 2 different rows for our customer ID 1. Okay, because he had ordered twice, but in general the details are only present 1. Okay, they are only present once in our customer table. Okay, so that's how we are saving the data. So we are saving it only once and joining it with the required table and then fetching it during the select statement. Okay, so this is how the inner join works. Now in inner join, what will happen is the unmatching columns will not be visible. Okay, so we had a customer where the customer ID was 6. Okay, but he didn't made any order, because of which his entry was not present in the order details table. Okay, so we don't find any customer ID as 6 over here. Okay, so the customer ID 1 in customer tables matched to 1 and 1 in customer ID of custom order details table. The customer ID 2 of customer table matched with 2 value number 2, same for 3, same for 4, same for 5. Okay, and but the 6 order customer ID is not present, because of which the inner join didn't return any output for the customer ID as 6. Okay, so that's what inner join does to us. And we have the left join. Okay, so in left join, what will happen is it will return all the rows from the left table. Okay, I'm sorry, the definition was not updated over here. I will update it and again share it to you. But in left join, we get all the entries from the left table, irrespective of whether it is present in the right table or not. Okay, so to show you the data, in the left join over the same table, you see we are getting I'll do a select star first. We are getting all the details from the customer table. Okay, but the respective values are null, which are coming from the order details table. Okay, because we are not having any values in the order details table, because of which it is coming as null. Okay, now let me show you an example. We are having two different columns being shown over here. Why? Because we are having same columns in the two different tables. Okay, now if I want to select only the specific columns in from my joins, okay, I will use alias. Okay, so what does alias means? Over here you can see select star from customer as T1. So T1 now is an alias for customer table, and order details as T2, which means T2 is an alias for order details table now. Okay, now if I only want to select the specific columns, so I will specify the exact column names. Okay, so I'll specify it as T1.customer name, T1.customer address, T1.customer phone, and then T2.order ID and T2.total amount, which means I only want these three columns from T1 table and these three columns from T2 table. So I will specify it using the alias. Okay, so now when you will run it, you will be able to see only those columns. Okay, so this is how your you can do alias and left join. Now let me show you a scenario where duplication happens and we are not able to see where it is happening. Okay, so over here we are getting John 123 Main Street customer phone, then John 123 Main Street customer phone. Okay, these two values are same. You are going to differentiate it based on the order ID. Okay, now for example you are doing a multiple left join. Okay, and you are not taking values from all the column. For now I remove values from T2 over here. Okay, I'm removing all the values from T2 table. Now when I do a left join, you see a duplication is over here. Okay, John, customer address, customer phone. In general, it is not duplication. Why? Because we are having different entries for these two records in the order details table, but we are not showing it over here. So it is a mimic that it is a duplicate. Okay, so there can be a scenario where you're doing multiple left join and you are getting duplicate values. Okay, it is because of it is being duplicated because of values from another table. Okay, because customer in customer table we are having customer ID only once for ID as 1. Okay, but in other details I'm having ID 1 as 2 times. Okay, so in this case what will happen is, so this is my T1, this is my T2. Over here I'm having ID 1 only 1 time, and over here I'm having ID 1 as 2 times. Okay, so left join happens is it will first of all join the first row, then it will join the second row. Okay, so that's why you are getting the output of T1 as 2 times. Okay, over here. Okay. Now, how it is being differentiated? It is being differentiated using the other columns of T2 table. Okay, so maybe the value will be X and value will be Y over here. So that's how we will differentiate these two values. Now, if I remove these two values, okay, if I get only John 123 Main Street and customer phone, okay, then you get to see a duplicate over here. Okay, so that's how you identify duplicates whenever you do a join. Okay, whenever you're going to work on joins yourself, you're going to find a lot of scenarios where things are being duplicated. Okay, so that's how it is because of joins. Okay, where an ID is present in a single table once, but the same ID is present in another table twice. That's why the data is being duplicated. Okay, I hope it is clear. Now the right join. So just like left join, in left join we get all the output from the left table. In right join we get all the output from the right table. So just to make it clear, what is left is whatever table is just beside from is left, and whatever table is inside the join is right. Okay, so if I joining T1 join T2, okay, so T1 table is my left table, which is present on left side, and join T2 is the right table. Okay, now explaining you the right join. So in right join, if I simply run the query, so you see what is happening over here is there's an entry in order details table where we are having values like 106, 1, and order date and total amount. Okay, now I'm joining it on order ID. I'm not joining it on customer ID anymore. Okay, so this 106 order ID is not present in both the tables. Okay, so it is present in the order details table, which is the right table, but it is not present in the order items. Okay, so select star from order items. See, 106 order ID is not present over here. Okay, but that order ID is present in the order details table. So what will happen is it will return all the rows from the right table. Okay, leaving the values blank, which are coming from the main our left table, which is the order items table, as you see over here. Okay, so right join is also known as right outer join, and left join is also known as left outer join. Okay, so whenever you get any question to explain left join or left outer join, now you know what to explain the give the exact values. Okay, so one more difference in inner join, the number of rows can be reduced whenever the matching columns are not having similar values. Okay, for example, when I match order ID and order ID of these two table on inner join, okay, the number of rows that I will get is not 7, it will be 6. Okay, because one of the columns, one of the values didn't match. But when I want to get all the values, okay, either from the left table or right table, okay, I will use left join or right join to get the required values. Okay, this is what right join looks like. Next is full outer join. Full outer join is basically getting all the values from all the values from both the tables, whatever tables we are joining. Okay, give you how it looks like. So first of all, select star from customer as T1, full outer join on order details. Okay, when I do that, what will happen is it will return all the values from the customer table, all the values from the order ID table. Okay, based on the customer ID column. Okay, there's no right join, there's no left join, it is simple full outer join. So it will return all the columns from both the tables. Now I am adding another join, full outer join on order items table as well. Okay, on order ID. Okay, now when I run the complete data, so now what happens is it is giving me the output from the customer table. It is giving me data from the order ID table, order details table, and it is also giving me entries from the order items table. Okay, now you see the level of joins over here. Okay, first of all, I have joined customer with the order details based on the customer ID. Okay, so whenever we are having customer ID matched in both the tables, which is customer and order details table, we will be having all the values. Okay. So in this row, the first row over here, the 8th row over here, the customer ID 6 was present in the customer table, but not in order details table. That's why the values in order details table went blank. Okay. Now I'm doing a second join, which is on table number T2 and table number T3. Okay. So I'm joining order details and order items based on the order ID. Okay. See, all the order ID of order details will be joined with all the order ID of order items. Okay. So wherever I'm getting a match, okay, so 101 will be matched to 101. So that data is filled. Same over here. Okay. Now, wherever the data is not matched, for example, the order ID is 106, but respective 106 order ID is not present in our order items table. So it will be completely blank. Okay. So this is how a full auto join works. Okay. So this is how a full outer join works. Okay. It will give you all the columns from all the tables, irrespective of whether it is present in the other table or not. Okay. Yeah. So this was the end of the first module. We learned about the joins. We learned about all the joins: inner, left join, right join, full outer join. We learned about the starting basics like where clause, the select clause, the order by, the filtering. Okay, we learned about how data engineering works. Okay, the next module will go more deep in SQL. Okay, where we will be covering group by, store procedures, views, having clause. Okay, so all these things will be covered in the next module. It's time. It's 12. Thank you guys for being here, giving your 2 hours. Okay. Questions? Any questions? Anything? Please raise your hand, send in Q&A, or just unmute yourself and ask. Any questions? Yes, Divyesh. Yes, Divyesh, you are now allowed to talk. Please, what's your question? Please ask. If you're not able to, just give me a second.
Hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Divyesh, now.
Thank you so much for conducting this session. I was able to download Azure Data Studio and also SQL Server on my local and configured it with localhost, and also did all the steps that you mentioned. So it was great training. Thank you for this basic.
Great. Thank you so much. I will share it, the script with you guys over the mail. I will send you the mail. In the mail, I will send you the assignments, and I will also send you guys the resources using which you can learn about today's session or topics. Okay. If you have any questions, please ask, or you can directly send on WhatsApp. Okay. If you think I was going too fast, if you think it was a lot of information, please also send on WhatsApp. Please ping me directly on WhatsApp, on personally, or directly on group. Okay. And I want you guys to join again next week. I will send you an invitation. And yep, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I will share the recordings as well with you. Okay. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend ahead. Bye bye.